Welcome to Business and Wealth Strategy. My name's Karen Newton, and my guest today is Jonathan Millard. And Jonathan, we've had a bit of a chat beforehand, and we're working out it's about 10 years that we've known each other on and
Yeah,
off. We've moved in similar circles.
similar circles and circles next to each other. Firstly, thank you, Karen, for having me on your podcast. It's a privilege to be on your podcast this evening and catch up with you. Yeah, like you say, we've been in a number of different circles, um, crossed paths a couple of times in different setups as well, and yeah, I always followed what you're doing here as well, and sometimes with a little bit of envy because I missed out when I should have stayed the program, and chances were
Good.
things might have been a little bit different. So, but there we are, there we are.
Now, you've got a logo behind you, microphone with a moustache. And when I first met you, I remember the moustache. And that was to do with boxing. Was it boxing?
Boxing and well, ring announcing. I think the idea was obviously that when I was have a gimmick. I think that's what wrestlers call it. And I was involved with some sort of wrestling promotions and MMA. And to have a gimmick was to have this curly mustache. I thought it kind of fitted like the big tops and the circus ringmasters that of old that you see in the books and with their red jackets and their top hats and the big curly
Yeah.
mustache. So I thought, well, if I can grow one, I'll see. So I did grow one, and yeah, so it was sort of like a bit of a calling card for people because they go, oh, a mustache, where are you, mustache MC, and yeah. I can't get rid of it now because it's although the mustache is gone, yeah, it stopped after COVID. This just carried on because everyone recognized it, and it was once you get to a certain point of brand and brand recognition, you kind of just
Yeah.
you could change it. I could change it, but it would take another 10 years or so for people to get traction and go, oh, right, it's different now. But they know who I am. They know what I deliver when I go into the ring and work.
And are you still doing the ring work now?
I am. I am. Yeah. So been a ring announcer for 17 years now in July. So it's been a long time. Long time. It has its ups, it has its downs. It's something I thoroughly enjoy, and I get to sit ringside and watch boxing or MMA, and I don't have to pay tickets, so it's great. So for me, if you enjoy watching the sports as well as being involved with them as well, but the opportunities of over the last 17 years have been fantastic with it. It's really opened up some doors. I'm now going internationally. Now I was doing it in Italy, and I was asked to go out to Germany, but unfortunately. Schedulings didn't mean that I could actually make that work. But yeah, so and traveling the UK, up and down Scotland, Wales, not got to Ireland yet, but I will do. Yeah, so and all over England, and yeah, I've announced some really big names now that people might recognize if you're a UFC fan. I've announced the likes of Paddy Pimblett, Tom Aspinall. In boxing, I have announced some up and comers like Lawrence Zagoli and Zafar Barrett as well. Again, some of the names that kind of coming through or been around for a little bit longer as well. I've also had a very unique opportunity to introduce Ricky Hatton, not into the ring, but before he passed, but not to box, but to be at an event with him. So I've had met a few people along the road. So it's been an interesting journey.
Am I right? Were you in some competition for announcing?
Yeah, 2018,
Yeah.
Matchroom Boxing. Yeah, they ran a competition with Sky Sports and was sponsored by JD Sports as well. They had 400 odd applicants, maybe more.
Wow.
I was got down into the last 12 and I was invited up to Sky Sports Studios to audition live in front of a panel of Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn, Adam Smith, who was head of Sky Boxing at the time, a rapper, and forgive me, forget his name, but also the legendary Michael Buffer, the all-time well-known, recognised ring announcer. I won't say his trademarked saying because I don't want you to get you in trouble with a trademark statement, but everyone knows who he is when you know it's a big boxing show. He's the man in the ring. So yeah, and from that, I was picked to go into the final three. Didn't win the competition, just got into the final three, and I was one of the finalists going into that. But I did have an opportunity to carry Anthony Joshua's belts. I have a picture with them and a couple of other unique tickets to see Imran Khan return to the ring as well in Liverpool. So it was lots of opportunities, and that again has opened more doors for me to do more work as well. So yeah.
Or even the publicity that you would have had through Sky TV and that connection, that must have been good for the business.
Yeah, it was good. But then we hit a massive lump in the road, which was COVID,
Yeah.
and boxing shows stopped. Well, apart from the closed door stuff, and then being where we are, I'm in Wales. I say that not a lot happened in Wales during COVID. If
Yeah.
anything, we probably took longer to come out of it than the rest of the UK. So, not a lot happened. So we just sat around and waited for it to go back to some sort of normality. But yeah, so it took a little bump, but we're now, as I say, on the right trajectory, going out and doing things where I want to be and traveling and doing it what I want to do.
Sometimes you got to have those drops to appreciate how much you had before and to get you on target for the next.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely right. When a
Fine,
door when the door closes, windows open somewhere along the road, and you just got to find those opportunities and look for them. It's not to be disheartened, not to lose faith if it's if it's something you want to do as well, and you can believe it and you can achieve it as well. So yeah, definitely.
So speaking has been a part in one way or another, it's been a part of everything that you've done because we were in Toastmasters together
Yeah,
at
we
one
were. Yeah,
stage, weren't we?
yeah, we
So
were.
uh, that's another way of getting in front of people. I don't know if you actually ever did any competitions or not, but it's
I don't think it is many competitions as yourself. I think I got through to one if I remember correctly, and that was it. And the competition side of it was yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it wasn't kind of what I wanted to go into it for. I think again, if you want to do that, then there's avenues for the competition speaking and things like that. For me, it was more about gaining the confidence to publicly speak and to take into myself in a slightly different direction. Maybe what others want to do. Again, it's what having to know what I wanted to do with it. So I went along to learn how to speak, so I could speak more clearly when I went into actually into roles that I wanted to go into, which was politics. And I used the skill sets and stuff that I developed through Toastmasters to become a better speaker, a better debater, so I can actually have arguments. Although I did that for a while as well, getting involved more in the debating side of it as well. So that for me was where I sort of wanted to go. But yes, then I got myself into politics. I got myself elected in 2017. So
right.
yeah, so it was a while ago. So it was a while ago. I had bounced my ideas around back in 2012, but I didn't get the ticket at that point. But 2017, I got elected into local government in up in the South Wales Valleys here, in a small place called Ebervale. I say it's small; it's not that small. It used to be one of the biggest steelworks in Europe, and it's quite well known. So I represented that area as an independent councillor for nearly a decade. So yeah, I say nearly because it wasn't quite. So yeah, but we talked about that off camera. But realistically, I'm still independent. I'm still thinking what's going on and trying to represent this area and give back to the people of the area and make sure that they have what's is available to us here and make sure that their voice is heard and having those arguments or speeches at public openings or debates within the chamber, although most of that is now virtual, which makes it a bit more difficult, but still good to have good to have a good argument with someone about it and try and make sure that you're finding common ground, trying to move things into the way of getting us. I suppose I see it more like Rome or Greece, perhaps, in the sort of way of debating. That we actually debate it for a long time and then eventually come to the idea that actually that was a bad idea. Uh, or we find a common ground and we can find a solution to move that forward, because that's realistically what it should be about. All this. That party, this party. It ultimately, when it comes down to it, it's about finding common ground to try and move forward the projects and the problems and resolve them for the public. I'm there to serve at the end of the day, and that's what's been on my heart, is to serve our community as best I possibly can. So I went out and yeah, got myself some more education into where I wanted to go, which has served me really, really well. I think I've had quite a good career. I've made headlines as well within the political arena, as well as obviously the boxing arena as well. So multi-set of skills, perhaps, that cross sets across different avenues. And I should note as well, before that as well, or sort of during that process, I somehow managed to get myself into local radio, and
Really?
somehow managed to get myself into local radio, and I got a paid position within a commercial radio station that was broadcasting across Wales and the West. Only a year's contract, but still. And that way, I learned how to speak what they call brief, or BIF. Sorry, not brief, BIF, which is brief, informational, friendly but firm. So you kind of learn little things, little acronyms that you think, well, actually those things help you when you want to make a point. So if you've got a point to make, you can say it in a biff, and then everyone will kind of get where you're going with it. Anyway, sorry, I'm sidetracking now. Sorry. So,
Well, because
yeah, so
really
all of these
interesting,
experiences have
because
come together.
speaking and being in front of people has been a huge part. Well, it's been every aspect of your career throughout your life.
I think yeah. So I blame my mother for that. I blame my grandmother for that. They encouraged me at a very early age to jump up on a stage and sing how much is that dog eating the window, to a church audience of about 50 people. But yeah, so it's kind of just continually always been sort of an opportunity, and if you can speak well. And you can get your points across, then you can convince others to vote for you and get you involved. And again, it's how to win friends and influence people in some respect as well. So it goes back to what Carnegie says in his book as well. So
So you're you told me that you're looking at retirement now from politics.
yeah, yeah. I say this, and then I'll probably end up on a ballot paper somewhere. But um, I no, I do believe in the fact that actually, if you're going to do or try and do the role, very similar to what American systems. Any American watchers will know. The president only gets two terms. They can be separated, they can be broken up, but you only get two chances of doing the job. And I think if you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve, or you can't do any more, then perhaps it's time to sort of say, thanks very much. I've tried to serve as best I can. I've come to the end of what I can do, and I think it's good then to have fresh heads come in, new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new ways of dealing with problems. And when you look at some of your councillors and some councils across the UK, and there've been members that have been there for 30, 40 years. They've made careers out of it, and I'm not knocking them for doing that. What I'm saying is that I don't agree with that myself personally. I think, if you're going to serve your community, serve it as the best you can. But if you haven't been able to do everything, and you're not at the point where you think, well, actually, is there anything more I can do? Is there anything more I can give? Then you should sort of say, thanks very much, and hang up the boots. So yes, that is my intention, to retire from politics. Probably still be involved somewhere in the background, perhaps, but you still have a care and an interest in your area, where you live, and where you pay taxes and everything else. You don't want to, you don't want to just sign off and just say, "Oh, do whatever you like." You still keep an eye on abreast of all those situations that are going on, and then from there, hopefully, I can sort of say maybe even guide or move into the sort of more mentoring role, which is again something that I can bring. I have a lot of experience, as we've already pointed out, so far with this as well, and knowledge as well of what's happened before, so that I can kind of perhaps steer or guide some people with hopes and ambitions of serving their communities, so that they don't fall into the same traps that I have as well.
So apart from maybe guiding in the other politicians or
hmm
boxing some ears with some of the other politicians, um, what's next for Jonathan?
Well, I've been working kind of in the background on a way of expanding that opportunity, not just to politicians or new politicians or long-standing politicians, perhaps, but to more people in regards to how, so more like business people, corporate people who might want to learn to command a ring or command a room and master their voice. So I've set up a program. Set up a program which is called Oracy Masters or Oracy Mastery, which is the name of the book which I've written, and it focuses on five pillars that we want that I think are very important. So the first one is vocal authority. So again, making sure that you develop a voice that is strong but also yours. You don't want to sound like anyone else when you step up into the role. Also, then the second pillar is confidence in delivery, or confident delivery, as I've just nicknamed it. So again, learning how to master your stage, how to control your self in front of an audience. Storytelling and structure. It's all very well having great stories. AI can write you some fantastic novel pieces, scripts, and speeches. But if you don't know the structure yourself, and if you're not involved in how that creation comes together, um, you're just reading from a piece of paper, and people will know. They will gain that they know when they're not being talked to authentically, which is why storytelling and structure is so important as well. Commanding a presence, obviously, as well is the next step of my pillars, fourth pillar in the book. Again, speaking of body language, how you present yourself. Do you where you move to, when to move to? I know you'll remember that one. We used to talk about that, and used to say to some people when we were watching speeches come back that stop pacing, stand still,
Yeah.
deliver it or purposely move, and when you move at the right time. And then obviously the last one is actually audience mastery, controlling the audience so that they know when to expect to laugh, when to expect to applaud, when to expect to interact with you as well. So it's a book that I've developed, as I say, over the last 6 months or so, with a lot of input from. Actually, I started writing this back in COVID, and I just sort of had the pieces of paper floating around, and I've just started working through those in recent times, thinking about the future and where I'd like to go. So yeah, so I put that together as a program, as a book, all available free of charge online as well. You can get that from our website. I sound like Donald Trump when I say that. so free of charge, wonderful book, great people, wonderful people. Um,
Give us the website where they can
so,
go.
so it's www.oracymasters.co.uk. So that's Oracy, Oracy, Masters, Masters, .co.uk.
And we'll put the link in the description below. I
Thank
want
you.
to touch on these 5 points
hmm
because obviously everything you've done around speaking, um, you've needed these 5 points in there. But it when you've gone through the 5 sections, we'll start first with vocal authority.
Yeah.
Is there something that you have done that, well, what I'm trying to say is ring mastery you've had,
hmm
politics, we touched on Toastmasters. Is there one thing that stands out that from one of those that you've covered where you really learned how vocal authority actually worked?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There are. I think the most important one is well, it breaks into a couple of different areas. So I think your breath work is probably your first one. Understanding when to breathe. You don't want to be. It's the same. It's actually something actually I probably learned, not so much public speaking, but actually singing. And singing is again another way of communicating to a vast number of people. But you have to know how long you can go for a phrase before you breathe and then move into the next section. So therefore, you can use the pause and you can use other breath control situations to actually help you. That in a ring announce, as a ring announcer, the pause can make
Magic.
oh, it can bring so much
Yeah.
anticipation to a moment, particularly when you're announcing the winner of a world championship or a title belt, and it's been close. The bite has been so close that you're not sure whether it's gone one guy's way or the other guy's way, and you announce the results. You say, I suppose it's like, 95 to 96. Let's say Newton, uh, 90, 94, 97, Millard. And then you got the pause, and then the final judge scored it
Yeah.
96, 95 for your winner, Karen Newton. So yeah, those things, that sort of thing in the breath work is one of the most important things, but also
But there's a
tone and
couple of
tone
things
around that
you,
as well.
sorry, there's a
Oh, I'm
couple
sorry.
of things you've touched on there. Because I was always told pause is just, it's so powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah. People think they've got to get out there and talk, but sometimes you just need to stand there and the attention will come to you without even saying anything.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so I like that. And breathing. The number of people I see talking and they're running out of breath, and you can see them going.
I've got to get to the end of the line sentence before I finish what I'm supposed to say, and I've got to say it all before I'm going to go too fast, otherwise I'm going to be then going to and then
Yeah,
yeah, that's it. That's sort of it. So yeah, so again, trying to educate you on how to make that work and where to go. Not educate you, obviously, Karen. You're a great public speaker yourself, so that's the other thing. One of the other key things for vocal authority, I think, is projection. And a lot of people
I'm
don't
weak.
realize that one. I'm quite weak actually. I'm not a big I'm not a big voice when it comes
Yeah,
to things, particularly if I'm a little unsure about something. And that again comes from building your confidence in regards to actually being able to say, well, actually, I know, even I'm not 100% on this, I can still articulate. So that's the other one, and
yeah,
project, because it's all about the articulation in regards, particularly when it's pronunciation. Very difficult when you're announcing foreign names in the ring,
yeah.
or you're trying to say something that you don't quite understand, trying to understand it quickly whilst reading it through while other people are having their conversations as well, or going to the source and trying to find out exactly what's going on. So yeah, projection, articulation,
Oh, I struggle with that. I
breath.
love mics because I remember Toastmasters and they give you feedback, and everyone was, you've got to speak louder. And I'm thinking, I'm talking as loud as I can. So, yeah, that
Yeah,
projection. So, the second one we had was confident delivery. So,
yeah,
I know that can be pretty nerve-wracking, especially the first time you're doing something. Once you've done it a few times,
yeah,
you get a bit more confident. I'm one of those persons who believes that it's good to be nervous before you go in front of an audience, because
yeah.
then you'll focus and you'll deliver better to the audience. But I have seen some people who sort of get on the stage and can't go any further. They
Yeah.
lose their track. I was at an event and the guy was so nervous, he actually fell getting on the stage, which didn't help very
Oh,
much.
bless him.
And then it was just disastrous from there
Yeah.
on. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
confidence.
Confidence is key, and like you said, managing the nerves. It's never get rid. You can never get rid of them. They're
Mm,
always going to be with you. But it's how you manage those. breath work is, again, we go back to breath work. You can use breath work to neutralize how you're feeling, trying to eliminate some of those anxieties, stresses. You may have had to rush to the venue. You've got that anxiety. You've got to rush on down stage, and you just need a few minutes just to calm, collect yourself, and let the nerves don't leave you. They never leave you. And even when I'm
Mm.
doing ring announcing now, people say, "Do you get nervous?" I'm like, absolutely get nervous. I still get nervous, even though I can walk in and kind of do it now off the street. I still get nervous. I like to be at venues, which actually probably comes to the last one, but I actually like to be in venues well before the opening time, so I know the layout of the room. I know where people are going to be in the rafters, or in how far back the room goes as well, because sometimes you're under the spotlight, you can't see what's
Yeah.
going on there. The same in chamber. If you're in, when you're in a political setting, it's good to know where people are sitting, so you can, if you've got a point and you want to direct that point to that person, you can know
Yeah.
exactly where to point and where to where to prod, and get the
I
response,
mean
and get the
you.
yes, you down there in the front who said no, you're not allowed to have
Yeah.
an extra £1,000 for spending on uh, highway cleanliness or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, those things. But those nerves still come, and those nerves still come even more so, I think, perhaps in the chamber as well. Certainly find that I have to sort of steady myself a little bit. One of the techniques I learned actually from a very older counsellor, which unfortunately we can't do anymore because it's all virtual now, but was to actually use the stand up pause. Again,
Yeah.
another pause, but purposeful movements mean that actually you can move on, which again comes into the sort of storytelling aspect, I suppose, which is the next
The
step as
next
well.
one we're going to discuss. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll leave you ask you my question, and we'll come back to that.
So, storytelling. That makes
Storytelling.
it memorable for people if they can relate to a story. Now, you've been with me at Toastmasters,
Oh yes.
and I know that you've been there when I've done some competition as well.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty bad car accident. And I tell a story about how what happened with the accident, basically learning to walk again. And I watch the audience, and the story changes depending on how engaged the audience is in the story
Mm.
that I tell. And if they're coming in really well, it's a yes, I've got you. Cut the story short and get into the sales pitch because I've got them hooked.
You've got them.
Yeah, I've got her.
Yeah.
So stories are really powerful.
They are. They are. And if you can relate things back to common stories that we will all know, um, again, this is actually probably we can actually use my mother as an example of this one, and being growing up in the church. I grew up in the church, so there
Yeah,
are obviously a lot of stories that we have every Sunday, or you're in parables of this, parable of that. They are recognizable stories, and even the moral side of it, like you said there with your story, you can
mm,
say people will recognize certain points and certain things. Well, oh yes, that stands there. This is the next step. And it's all about the architecture that you create for your speech. So like you said there, you've got cutouts as well, so you can slip away to other segments as well
yeah,
without having to carry on the story once it's got you to the delivered point that you wanted to get to. And it's very purposeful. Again, that's the structure of it, as well as having the story to tell. I actually remember you saying about a train. Actually, that's the one I remember you talking about, was a
the
train.
fairy godmother and the magic train.
There you go. There you go. So the
And
stories,
that is a boring subject all about compound interest, but
but
people
it,
remember the story.
but it's stuck. But it's stuck, and that is how. That's the power of a story. That's how it can stick in. I mean, that stuck on my head, and we said we did this 10 years
10
ago,
years
12
ago,
years ago.
yeah.
So I mean, that story has stuck with me,
Mm,
about compounding interest and the train. So those are the things that can actually trigger memories and jog people back to, oh, actually, that's what she was talking about, and that's what we mean. And then perhaps someone else will talk about the story somewhere else, and they go, oh, that was what John was talking about on stage the other week, and oh, that's what the priest, the pastor, was talking about the other day as well. And it's all those sort of things that come together, and so yeah, so it vastly important stories, very very underutilized as well, because some people just get into the fact that they've just got to focus on the whatever they wanted to tell you without relating it, and relation is relating it back to the situation. I can use another old example of another counsellor who used to give us a history lesson, very much so before we got to the point of actually we're not going to give you any more money. That was the point, but the point was we're going to tell you, well, we got you through 1972, and then in 1984, and then in 1993, and then in 2001, you'll remember that this cabinet did this and this and this, and no, the answer is still no. So
Yeah,
but there's obviously reason, and it can back up if you're back up a point as well. That was his point as well. He would always use a story to try and back up his position on it, so that you can't really then challenge it because it's a story. It's not something it can. So it can be again a great tool to utilize
yeah.
and control the narrative of where you want the story to go, and through the architecture of your speech as well.
So number four, pillar post, commanding presence. You mentioned about people, and I see it all the time. They walk from one side of the stage to the back and forth, and you're there thinking, stand still.
Absolutely. There's lots of problems. There's lots of mistakes that people make, not problems, mistakes, because they're only little mistakes and they can be rectified and they can be changed. I'm quite energetic. I'm trying with my hands, so I'm quite sort of, I kind of have to control myself to stop myself from bouncing around the stage, because I
Yeah,
used to get into the habit of bouncing up and down on the stage, and then I've learned over the years to actually steady myself and stand certainly legs apart and dead center. That's an experience that actually comes with utilization of other props and other tools that are actually more accustomed to perhaps larger setups. So the camera is actually a tool that you can use, and yeah, you've got to remember that there's someone trying to control and wants you on picture all the time, in frame all times. So you running back and forth means they're going to get a really bad wrist from moving that camera back and forth. So you don't want that to happen to them, because they're just going to stop and just put your picture and just forget about it and just
well,
leave you walk off the stage.
I'm going to share a story with you. So we're going back to point three here.
Okay.
Um, I used to train in run coaching sessions in a pub in Crossy Keylog, and the name escapes me at the moment. And they had a room upstairs, and we did the coaching sessions there. And Peter Rowlands, who was my
Yep.
partner at the time, my business partner, I should say.
Yeah, but, yeah, that confuse everyone when you say that. We've known you for a long time.
He decided he was going to record the sessions for me. And I walk around the room, I talk to people, I engage, and he's there with the camera running around. And nothing was on there by the time we got to the end of the
There
session.
you go.
There was nothing there. And it wasn't that I paced back and forth on a room,
No.
it's that I go round because we had like a classroom, I'd go and talk to people and move around all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I understand this
Yeah.
presence.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the grounding or the physical presence, also dressing as well. Now, I'm sorry to say I didn't dress up for this interview. I'm sorry. Um, so ignore what
No
I'm
problem.
wearing. Just imagine me in a shirt and tie and a jacket. Okay. All right. Or a jumper and a jacket. Just, trendy, like on my website.
We're
That's obviously,
informal here.
yeah. So, but the image that you want to project, there is there is that famous saying, well, dress for the role you want, and that is true, and particularly if you want to be a politician, you want to dress like a politician. If you want to be a teacher, then you dress like a teacher. Or if you want to be anything else, following that general rule of thumb, if you're well presented as well, and you make sure you're strategic in your eye contact, so where you're
I
looking.
was going to mention eye contact.
Eye contact's a massive one. If you
Yeah,
can get a couple of people uh, in different positions, slightly further back, if you can see that far, depending on the room and the venue, which we'll talk about as well. But if you can get that, you can make and connect. Once you've got the connection with people, people feel, oh, you're actually being genuine. You're not just randomly looking around the room. You're focusing on that person might not give you any if they give you something back.
Mm.
That's what you want. If they don't give you anything at all, might try and find someone else. So yeah, so eye contact, energy management of your presence on the stage, and yeah, just grounding your physicality in regards to purposeful movement, making points. So if you are going to use your fingers for pointing, we don't do pointing, we do that. Thumb pointing within politics. We never go like that because there's three fingers pointing back at you, as I was told. So again, that's sort of commanding the stage, commanding the presence, and making sure that all eyes are on you when you're telling your speech.
Yeah. And the hard thing for people is, like you said, this eye engagement, that is really important because
Yeah,
they need to feel that you are talking to them. You might have five people. I've turned up at an event. I was booked to speak at an event, and one person turned up. And I have to admit, that was the most difficult speech I ever did because I had to treat it. The person had paid and had come. I had to treat it as if I had a full room there to talk to, but you're trying to focus on one person without them feeling you're staring them down
yeah,
because they're the only
yeah.
person in the room. And I've been at other events where like there's biggest I've spoken to is 3,000 in an audience.
Okay.
And it it's really hard to make someone feel that you're talking to them
Yeah.
rather than over them or ignoring them or anything. So I've always that was something I took from Toastmasters.
Yeah, that is definitely something I've learned as well. When you're on a stage and like you say, you've got the audience in front of you, you can you can see exactly who. Try doing it in a cage when you've got a cage of meshy wire between you and
Yeah.
your audience. Then it's even
You
more
got four
difficult.
sides on your audience as well,
We
haven't
have
you?
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something you can play with actually, and it's actually something you can use quite to your advantage as well because you can actually play them off each other as well and say, oh,
Yeah.
they're doing this. You do lots of other things that you can command them to do and get them to do it. So yeah, so it that well, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine just one person,
That was
poor
hard.
guy, just sat there, and he's like, and you're going, oh well, I could look over this way because that's what
Yeah.
I'm delivering. So yeah, but this is, I suppose, the next step, which is sort of the your audience mastery again, is it's knowing when to respond, when to read the room, and then to say, well, actually, I know you're there, but I'm gonna just look to the side of you, not to make you feel uncomfortable, and respond. As you did, and I think that's the right thing for you to do in that situation completely, and that would be what I would be teaching anyone who wanted to get involved with that, so you can adjust to get the real time maximum impact for your speech as well.
And I think part of the audience, I don't know if you bring it under the audience mastery. I'm not sure whether it must fit in
Fits.
somewhere.
Go on.
That is timing
I
because
suppose that comes into the yeah, so into your vocal authority as well, and your confidence in delivery as well. So it kind of meshes over two areas because it is such an important thing to keep yourself to time. That's something I learned within radio. You only have a very small amount of time to talk, and you've got to get your biff in that as well quite quickly.
yeah,
When you've got a speech, obviously, you've got a little bit more time, but you've only got sometimes you're only given 15 minutes, sometimes you're given 20. As a keynote speaker, you might get an hour. So again, it's having that timed down to doing what you need to do. So yeah, time is important, Karen. You're absolutely right.
I remember being at an event and I had been booked to speak for 40 minutes.
Okay.
And there were pre-speakers, other speakers. I was the main speaker at the event. Each of the speakers in front of me went over time. And the organizer kept coming back to me and saying, can you cut your speech down? Can you cut your speech down? And I got to the stage where I was being given 15 minutes to pack a 40-minute presentation down to 15 because they had no option. They had to be out of the room at that time.
Wow. Okay.
And I was saying, I can't cut it down anymore. I don't
Yeah.
know what, like you said, when you're prepared for something, you can take sections out. But to
Yeah.
suddenly go from a 40-minute speech to a 15-minute because the people in front of you hadn't stuck to timing,
Yeah.
yeah, I found that really, really difficult to cope with doing that one.
Yeah. I think again, for anyone who wants to be a speaker and want to be on stage, timing is so important. Not only just for your speech to make sure you're on time, which you've ultimate respect to anyone else who follows on to you.
Mm.
And it's the same. I've worked with comedians as well, so I can say actually, when you talk to a comedian and you say to them, "I need you to go for 8 minutes," and that's it, 8 minutes, and then otherwise the other person afterwards doesn't get their time, doesn't get all the thing. And when you've got someone who's a rambler who just wants to go on, this is where they've just gone off on that. It's disrespectful to the people who follow on. And I think that's kind of, a lot of people don't realize how disruptive it can be just being a minute or two late. Now that's one thing we did do in Toastmasters quite a lot, obviously, was
We did, yeah.
work into the time structure as well. And that's something that actually is in there somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where. But timing, using the lights, if you want to use a light system, can be a real big help to make sure that you're on track to get someone at the back of your room with just their phone up. You can change the colors on the screen to tell you when to stop, when you've got a minute left to wrap up, so you come off at the right time.
Mm. Yeah. And one thing I've just thought about with audience mastery,
Hmm.
and that is, you touched on it earlier. If the audience are going to laugh, you have to allow, first of all, time for the joke to fit in and
Yeah.
for them to absorb it, and then time to actually laugh. And you sort of stood on the stage thinking, did that one hit its point or not?
Jokes can be tricky. Jokes can be tricky, generally speaking. But if you can, well, one of the tricks that I mastered, one of those actually, you let a joke set and then you let it set again. So you let the first go and you kind of then make some sort of facial expression to go, did you get it? And then it'll either either laugh again, or hopefully they'll just go no, which then allows you then to segue into your next part of your speech, so you can move forward. Say, okay, well, that one, I'll leave you with that one. Let's go over here now. Let's talk about what I want to talk about over here. Bring it back in, perhaps at a later stage. Jokes that can be tricky. Not something that, all the best man speeches start with a joke, don't they? So, so no, they don't. But yeah, landing jokes can be difficult and tricky, particularly if you're not not word clever. That's not the right word. Or fey with delivering jokes, and comedians spend
Yeah.
months, years trying to get jokes that will actually work. They work through material meticulously until it lands, until it gets to the right position and you get the right jokes in the right places. And I know quite a few comedians that have spent years getting a fight tight 10-minute set, which they then take all over the place, and then they're able to expand that and grow further into further things. And yeah, over the years, that definitely is something. I'm going to stop now because I'm rambling.
Yeah, no, you're
I just
okay.
suddenly realised I was rambling. I'm going to stop. So
But we are getting to the end of time here now, so I do need to wrap this up to keep us on time. Um, Oracy Mastery.
yeah,
Would you like to give us the link again where people are able to get hold of that?
absolutely. So www.oracymasters.co.uk. So it's ORACYMASTERS.co.uk.
Thank you. And how can people get in contact with you or connect with you?
We're on. Well, we've set up an Instagram with Oracy Master. You can go that way if you're into Instagram. There will be more content available as well through that. But if you just want to just drop me a quick email, say hello@oracymasters.co.uk, and I'll get someone to pick that up, or either my receptionist or assistant or whoever, or me. So I will come back to you as quickly as we possibly can. And of course, you can download the book at any time. It's available there free of charge for you to have a little read and peruse through, with a couple of bits of more information about the program that I'm offering as well. I am looking for a small group of cohort to start off with. So if anyone's interested in that, then please drop me a line.
Perfect. I have really enjoyed. I've had a good fun, and I've had a nice laugh here with you tonight. So it's been a really enjoyable session. I'm wishing you the best of luck with Oracy Mastery. It's a very important subject for anybody who just wants that confidence to be able to talk to someone.
Yeah,
And
it is.
I'm
It's
looking forward to maybe the moustache is going to come back, is it?
maybe not. Maybe I'll send you a picture just so you can have a picture. I did try to grow something out, and it just, my daughter doesn't like it either. She's 11. She's very much no, no, Dad. You need to get, when the beard gets too long. It's no, you need to shave that off now, Dad. Off you go to the barbers. Gone.
Jonathan, thank you. It has been a delight talking to you this evening.
No, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast again, Karen.
Thank you.